Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, now here I am with another live action movie review based on a cartoon. And now, next up, this is going to be a review for Fat Albert. So I told you guys at the end of my last review how this is a cartoon that I really don't know that much about. And yeah, I don't. Yeah. Fat Albert originally ran in the 70s and 80s. So yeah, and even like during reruns, I think it stopped airing. Just like it aired like I'm getting tongue tied here. It stopped airing like before my time, so I never did actually watch this show. So yeah, so I really don't really know all that much about the original Fat Albert cartoon. Yeah. So yeah, what I do know about it is Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. Like, according by the title, it was created by Bill Cosby, and apparently this show is actually based on Bill Cosby and some of his other friends. And so I guess this really was based on like a uh, Bill Cosby's childhood in a sense. Yeah. So it so yeah yeah so yeah, and that is really basically all I really do know about it. I really like I said, I never really did actually watch the show. Like Bill Cosby, in the original show, he Bill Cosby did provide uh voices for some of the characters, such as Fat Albert himself. Yeah so yeah so so as like I said, I never did actually watch the show. So as far as this movie goes, I really don't know how um well this movie does actually follow the cartoon. So yeah, so I really can't make any comparisons between the movie and the original cartoon, because yeah, like I said, I never did actually watch the cartoon at all. So I really don't know how faithful this really is to the original cartoon. So yeah, so I'm really just gonna look at this movie just as is. All right. So so this movie like Mr. Magoo, this movie was released on Christmas Day, but yeah, this one was released on Christmas Day in 2004. Yeah. And yeah. And this movie he yeah, when it came out, it really did not receive that much love. So yeah, so this movie really just seemed to really just come and go, and nobody really did talk about it. Yeah, but yeah, I did actually see this movie in the theater. Like, I did see Keenan Thompson did star as Fat Albert in this movie. So yeah, and of course, as a kid, I did like Keenan Thompson. Of course, with all that and Keenan and Kill and all that stuff. So yeah, just me being a fan of Keenan, that really got me interested in seeing this movie. Like, not because of anything involving the cartoon. Yeah, so I didn't even actually hear or even know about the cartoon until after I did this movie did come out. So yeah, so this was actually my introduction to Fat Albert. This is how I actually did hear about Fat Albert. Yeah, and I guess something else I do know about Fat Albert is he has that catchphrase, "Hey, hey, hey." Yeah, and plus, yeah, just like I've been showing you guys how I've been drawing sketches, I also have one for Fat Albert right here. Yeah. So yeah, so really the only thing I really do know about Fat Albert, well, of the show by itself, is just the characters' appearances. I do know how they look. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, yeah, getting back to this, due to Keaton Thompson starring in this movie, that's what really made me want to see it. Yeah, and I did actually see this movie in the theater. Yeah. And how do I actually feel about this movie? Well, I personally I think it's fine. I mean, yeah, I mean, I really didn't find anything about this movie that really was truly terrible or stupid or anything. Like I said, I haven't seen the cartoon, so I can't really make any comparisons to the cartoon. Yeah, but I mean, as a movie, I did think that this was fine. I mean, I don't know, do fans of the cartoon just not like this movie because apparently it just really doesn't. It really has little to do with the cartoon. Is that the reason? Yeah, I really, like I said, I don't know how well this follows the cartoon. So yeah, if there's anybody that has actually watched the Fat Albert cartoon and they have watched this movie, you can come in on my channel and tell me how faithful this movie really is to the original cartoon. Yeah, but me personally, I do think it's fine. I mean, yeah, the premise of this movie, like, it is like kind of a similar to the premise for the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie because this movie does like it establishes that the cartoon, like, it is like still like it is aware that it is like a show. And yeah, and in this movie, like Fat Albert and all like the other like known characters from Fat Albert, and they end up coming into the real world after they see like there's this girl that they see has a problem, and they like emerge from the TV like into the real world to try to help her. Yeah, yeah, and that is like really like how this movie, the premise of this movie, they really like just they like come out of their cartoon into the real world, and they really are just like spending time with the girl, trying to help her with her problem. Yeah, and that is basically like what this movie really is about. Like most of this movie is really just like Fat Albert and the rest of the gang, really just like coming into the real world, and they are just like interacting with everybody, and they really do kind of like see the differences between like their world and the real world. Yeah, and plus, yeah, something else that I do kind of like about the movie is that like like of course, like, as I said, like the original show, it, it was it aired originally between during like the 70s and 80s, yeah, and like this movie really is like set like in modern times, yeah, and as like Fat Albert and the gang are like in like the real world, like since this is in modern time, they do see like how different everything is. Like they question like why like stuff like phones and microphones don't have cords, and they don't know like how technology works. Like they ask like what laptops are and all this other stuff. So yeah, it is kind of like a funny to kind of like just see like how like the show and this movie really are like set in like totally different times, and it's kind of funny to see like Fat Albert and like his pals like coming into the real world and just like seeing how like much how different everything really is now. Yeah, yeah. So it does kind of like have some funny moments throughout it. Like, is there like really enough to really like make a full movie on it? Well, probably not. But yeah, this movie really isn't like just like something where it's just a live action version of Fat Albert. Like, while it is live action, it's not really just something where like it really is just like in the Fat Albert universe, and they are just like doing whatever they do in the show. Like, it does show how they're coming into the real world, and they're just like really like their show does exist, but it also shows that like the real world is in a different dimension. Yeah, and I do think that there is like some creativeness put into this because, yeah, it is like kind of clever with how like Fat Albert and his pals are not like, really like able to go back into the TV at certain points. Like it shows that like they can really only like get in and out of the TV. Like they can only like emerge like from the TV and also go back into the TV only whenever their show is actually played on TV. Like as the show is like during like whenever there's like a commercial or it's like showing a different show or whatever, like it shows that they can't actually go back into the TV during that. Like they can only like do it whenever their show is actually being played on the TV. So yeah, so I actually did think that there was some creativity to that. They don't make it like so simple that they can just like go in and out of the TV as they please. It actually has to be like as their show is actually airing on TV. Yeah, so I did think that there was some creativity put into this. Yeah, so yeah, like I said, the movie does star Keenan Thompson as Fat Albert, and I do think that he does just fine in the role. Like he doesn't really like sound like the original Fat Albert, but I don't know if that was really like the intention or not. Yeah, and the movie also does star Kyla Pratt as the girl that Fat Albert and his pals like come out of the TV to help when they see she has a problem. Yeah, 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 yeah. And the film also does have a an appearance from Bill Cosby himself in it. Yeah, and the movie also is like actually like Bill Cosby is like one of the writers for this movie. So yeah, so I guess like since Bill Cosby was the creator of the original show and he's a writer, I guess like this movie does have like some faithfulness to the cartoon. I can only assume. Like I said, I can't really make that comparison. Yeah. Yeah, and I know like there is a lot of stuff that people can really say like Fat Albert is really horrific to watch now, considering like what Bill Cosby has really gone through, like in in like recent years, yeah, the stuff that's happened with Bill Cosby with like the sexual allegations and stuff. But yeah, I'm not really gonna get into that. Like, yeah, the stuff with Bill Cosby is a totally different story. So yeah, let's not talk about that and just look at this stuff as it is. Yeah, yeah. So I guess it is kind of cool that Bill Cosby actually did make an appearance in this movie. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, and then the movie like does have like some other stuff in it. Like it does show like throughout this movie, Fat Albert is saying hey 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 and stuff, and yeah, and it does show like some of like his other pals like kind of I guess doing what they did in the cartoon. Yeah. And like I said, there is like some creativity put into this, like, and there are some funny moments throughout. Like, it probably really doesn't work as a whole as a movie, and yeah, and I guess I can understand like why people really wouldn't really care for this movie because there's really nothing like truly like groundbreaking about it. There's nothing that like particularly stands out, but there's nothing in it that is like particularly bad. Like on Rotten Tomatoes, the critical consensus for the movie is a bland but good-natured adaptation of the cartoon show. Yeah, yeah. So I guess this film, like, I guess it will really only appeal to like people that really do know Fat Albert. Albert. So yeah, yeah. But yeah, as somebody that really didn't actually watch the show, so yeah, I guess like just as is, I guess like I can say that the movie really like it's really not as bad as like a lot of these other adaptations. So yeah, so I guess that's so yeah. So overall, just I really don't know what to say. Like I really don't know whether or not I really would recommend this movie because as I keep saying, like I really didn't watch the show and I really don't know a lot about it. So I really don't know like how like true fans of the original Fat Albert show would think about this movie. So yeah, but as is, like I don't really think it is like all that bad. Like nothing like really horrible about it, but yeah, nothing that really sticks out either. So yeah, it really is just kind of a movie that really is just it'll come and go if you watch it. Yeah, it really will just yeah, you really just can draw your own conclusion to it. But me personally, I think it's all right. So I guess I would give this movie probably like around I don't know. I guess I would give it around like 2 stars out of 4. All right. So yeah, so I guess I'll just start talking about the movie. All right. So as the movie opens up, it shows that Doris Robertson, who's played by Kyla Pratt, it shows how she's like I don't know if she's like a high school student or a college student or whatever, yeah. But it shows she's really depressed, and it's eventually revealed that the reason why she's just so depressed and really does distance herself from people and not really like form any sorts of friendships and not very social is because like she's like just grieving the death of her grandfather. Yeah, yeah, and it shows that like her like a foster sister, Lori, is like trying to get her to engage socially, but she's very resistant to it. Yeah. Then it shows how like at home she watches the Fat Albert cartoon. Uh, and yeah. And then as she's watching it, it shows how there's a Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. Yeah. Yeah. And it then does show how like after like there was a tear that rolls down Doris's face and it hits the TV remote. It then shows how like it then opens up like a television portal to Fat Albert's world, and then Fat Albert does actually see Doris crying, and so then Fat Albert, seeing that Doris has a problem, he then through jumps out of the TV. Then he became live action, and yeah, and at first Doris really was freaked out, like seeing a cartoon character actually jump into the out of the TV and into the real world. Like, yeah, that would be pretty creepy. But yeah, it was also kind of a clever idea to do it that way. Have like them just like jumping out of the TV into the real world. I do think that is pretty clever. Yeah, I also find it like kind of like well, it's not really like weird, but just kind of like odd that like they come like right into the real world just very early into the movie. Like it's not even 10 minutes in when they come into the movie. Like usually, like with these kinds of films, like they would wait like a little while before they actually do emerge into the real world. But here they just like do it right away. Yeah. Then once Fat Albert did like like jump into like a Doris's living room. Then like Fat Albert's other pals then followed. There was a Rudy, Dumb Donald, Mushmouth, Bucky, and Old Weird Harold. Yeah. Then Bill also jumped out, but he also told the his like a little brother, I think, Russell, to just stay put and cover for them. Yeah. Then as they then met Doris, like they were asking her what her problem was, but Doris just was saying she was fine. But yeah, they could like see through her otherwise. Yeah. And as she was trying to get them to go back, it showed that like a commercial was rolling and they couldn't. Yeah. 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 Then it showed how then the show then ended, and so they would have to wait until the show would come on the next day to come to then go back in the real world. Yeah. Yeah. Then like in the Fat Albert world, it did show how Russell was just like being chased by like some bullies that were like saying that they would take over or the show, and yeah, and they were just like going after Russell throughout. Yeah, and it would like cut back into the cartoon at certain points to just show the bullies going after Russell. Yeah, yeah, and then it just showed how like the Fat Albert and the others were just like following Doris around. They followed her to school. Yeah, and I guess I'll talk a little bit about like the few. It's like some of the other Fat Albert characters, like Mushmouth, for example. Like Mushmouth, like he gets his name because like how he talks, he just like talks like a whole bunch of gibberish and he can't like talk properly. It's just like just like yeah, a whole bunch of gibberish. Yeah, and there's also Dumb Donald who wears like a face covering hat over his face, and apparently like he doesn't have a face, so that's why he wears it and doesn't take it off. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And just like some of like his other friends, like some just are like pretty dim-witted and stuff, and yeah, and there's also like Rudy who wears like the orange hat and stuff, and yeah, just like his other characters throughout. Yeah, then eventually, Fat Albert then met Lori and became like infatuated with her and was like talking to her. Yeah, but yeah, then there was like one of Doris's schoolmates, Reggie, that really does have like an obsessive crush on Lori, and then Albert like met Reggie, and then Reggie challenged Albert to a track race, which Albert won. But yeah, I got to say that like the effects of them running was pretty bad because it showed like like an angle with them like running, and you did like see like the background behind like on the side. But yeah, it looked real bad. Like it was just some really bad green screen effects. Yeah, yeah. Then eventually, then uh Albert and the others got invited to like an outdoor party, and then they told them to bring Doris along. Yeah, and then at that party, it showed how Lori was dancing with Albert, and then yeah, Lori then and like really like was fascinated with Albert, and then Reggie was trying to make Lori jealous by dancing with Doris, but then yeah, then Doris then just ran off after Reggie was trying to forcibly kiss Doris, and then Albert then just gave Reggie a warning to stay away from Doris. Yeah, yeah. Then then it showed them like the next day how Doris like told Albert and the gang to just go to the park instead of following her to school. Yeah, yeah. And so then yeah, Albert and the gang then went to the park, and it showed then how like the gang was like seemed to be changing from how they were in the cartoon. Like Harold, for example, was like really clumsy, but then yeah, he then like joined with some other guys in a basketball game, and he played perfectly. Yeah, that also showed then how Mushmouth then like learned how to speak properly. Yeah, and also like Donald ended up going to the library, and it showed that by his name, Dumb Donald, he really was like really dumb. But it showed now that he was out of the cartoon, he was like becoming more intelligent, and then he removed his hat, and it showed that he did have a face. Yeah, yeah. But then over time, then it was like showing how like Albert and the gang were like starting to become paler, and it showed that they were also starting to fade away. So they knew that they actually had to get back home. So then later that day, when Doris then brought them back home, it showed how like uh, Bucky, Harold, and Donald were all able to jump back into the TV to go home. Yeah, and it was kind of clever how when Donald jumped in without his hat, and it showed that his face was gone again, so he had to put the hat back on. Yeah, so some creativity right there, where the changes that they're going through in the real world, they just return to their normal stage when they go back into the cartoon. Yeah, but before the others could jump back in, then a breaking news bulletin interrupted the show, and so they would have to wait again. Yeah. Yeah, and it showed how Albert was really thinking about just he wanted to stay in the real world with Lori. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then eventually later on that night, then as Fat Albert was then just seeing everything going on, like Fat Albert then just decided that he needed some guidance. So then he then paid a visit to Bill Cosby himself, and then when Bill Cosby saw Fat Albert, of course, he was just very shocked at first and fainted. Yeah, yeah, but then Albert then told Bill Cosby the dilemma, and then Bill Cosby then was just explaining to Albert that once Albert mentioned Doris, Bill Cosby then explained to Albert that Fat Albert's character is actually based on Doris's grandfather Albert Robinson, and this also showed because it throughout the movie it was shown how Doris really does have confusion of why Fat Albert did seem so familiar to her, and this explained why. Yeah. And then then when Albert then just told Bill Cosby how he wants to stay in the real world to be with uh, Lori, Bill Cosby told Albert that he couldn't do that and he has to return back to his world because if he does stay in the real world, then he would turn into celluloid dust. And and this did explain why like Albert and the others were becoming pale and fading away. Yeah. So then Albert then tried to explain the situation to Lori and that he has to leave, but Lori didn't believe Albert and just felt that he didn't want to be with her anymore. Yeah, and even Doris then tried to really convince Lori that it was what Albert was telling the truth, but Lori still didn't believe her. Yeah. Then the next day, then Mushmouth, Rudy, and Bill then went back into the show. And once again, it showed as I said, Mushmouth did learn how to speak, but Donald, when he went back in, his ability to speak was gone, and he just went back to the gibberish speaking. Yeah, yeah. But then when Doris then left, Albert hadn't gone in yet. He said that he can't go back yet. That he still does have to help Doris, and he now knows what her problem is. So then Albert then went down to the back to the track where Doris and Lori are competing in a track meet. Yeah, and and then as Doris was running down the track and losing, Albert then showed up, and it showed how he was just very pale and weak. He then gave Doris some inspiration and to win. Yeah, yeah. Then then mm, uh, Doris and Lori then just saw Albert how weak he was, and then eventually Lori then was convinced that Albert was telling the truth and he has to go back home. So then even after and before they could Reggie he found out earlier on that like uh Albert and the gang are really from TV. Yeah, then he was trying to threaten Albert, but Albert just lifted him up and scared Reggie away. So then Albert and the girls then just rushed back to their home. Then Albert then said his goodbyes to Doris and Lori. Yeah, then and before Albert left, Lori then not Lori, Doris then discovered that Albert really was inspired by her grandfather. Yeah, then Albert went back into his into the show, and then it showed how like he stopped the bullies, and then he also was telling this like girl the same stuff that he was telling Lori earlier. Yeah, yeah. Then the movie ended with like a kind of a nice bookend, how it showed like Bill Cosby and his friends who did actually like inspire the characters from the show are standing in front of Albert Robertson's grave, and then it just showed it just the camera was panning to each of Cosby's friend, and it also did like a cut to shots of the characters in Fat Albert that they're based on. Well, that are based on them, I guess I should say. Yeah, yeah. Then it showed them how Doris was like watching them as they were racing away, and it was just showing that they were like still the kids at heart, and they really did like help Bill Cosby inspire the kids on the show. Yeah, and then yeah, man, that's how the movie ended. So yeah, so yeah, so I really don't really think the movie is really like all that bad. Like it's really not like an atrocity. Like I said, there really isn't anything that really does stand out about it. But yeah, nothing truly like terrible about it either. So I honestly do think it's all right. Like I said, I do think that there is like some creativity with it, with like them actually jumping into a TV and only being able to go back when their show's playing, and also like the stuff that is happening to them, like the longer they stay out of the cartoon world. Yeah, yeah, and it was cool to like see the real Bill Cosby make an appearance. Yeah, and another like interesting thing about it, just like especially in the scene where Albert is talking to Bill Cosby. What's really like interesting about that is like Keenan Thompson did even actually like play Bill Cosby like on numerous occasions on Saturday Night Live. Like I remember like during in the Celebrity Jeopardy skit, Keenan did actually play Bill Cosby a couple of times. So yeah, so it was kind of interesting to see that here. That yeah. Yeah, and I do think Keenan does fine as a Fat Albert, and everyone else is just fine. Like I said, like I don't know like how well this follows the cartoon, and so yeah, so I can't really like decide say like how well of an adaptation this really is. But yeah, as its own thing, I do think it's all right. So yeah, so all I can really say is just yeah, whether you're a Fat Albert fan or not, just yeah, check out this movie and draw your own conclusion. Yeah, because I don't really know like how like true like fans of Fat Albert, like the original cartoon, would really feel about this. So yeah, all I can say is just like give it a watch and see what you think. All right, so yeah, so like I said, I give this movie 2 stars out of 4. All right, so yeah, so I guess that's all I can really say about it. All right, so this is my review of Fat Albert. So I hope you guys enjoy this review, and yeah, and stay tuned for more. And up next, I'm look, next up, I'm gonna review mo- the movie series that is probably the most successful a movie series of these live action movies based on cartoons, because there were 4 movies made for this series. So you probably do know what I'm going to be talking about next. So stay tuned for my reviews of those movies coming up next. All right, but I hope you guys enjoyed this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.